Now I know that the general reception for most, when it was announced that Netflix was going to make a Cowboy Bebop live action series, was mixed. But honestly, I was intrigued by this project. Because of all the anime series that can translate into live action, Bebop seemed like the perfect candidate. So after 2 years of being in development, and the minor tease we were treated to at Netflix Geek Week, where they announced that the original series composer, Yoko Kanno, would be joining the project, we finally get to see some stills from the much anticipated show. Now this first image gives us our best look at the cast in costume as their respective characters. We have John Cho as Spike, Mustafa Shakir as Jet Black, and Daniela Pineda as Faye Valentine, the bounty hunting crew on board the Bebop. The converted interplanetary fishing trawler is the primary ship used by the crew throughout the show. It's owned and captained by Jet Black, who made the modifications on the second-hand ship. It serves as a home and transport for the crew who have traveled to a number of solar systems. Speaking of the ship, we get a small glimpse of the interior, mainly the ship's living room area. This is where the crew would often gather for briefings on targets, or just downtime between jobs. It looks like the set designers have done a good job of recreating the room. We get the yellow couch and table, but also a lot more details to create a lived-in environment. There's now an additional armchair, as well as a record player, speakers, and a carpet. All of these new additions to the space makes the room pop more and gives it a vibrant feeling. I really can't wait to see what else they've done to bring the ship to life, especially the ship's exterior. We see Spike in his signature blue leisure suit with a pop collar and that awesome head of hair, which isn't a wig. It's John Cho's hair grown out and styled. There's even another image that shows us the back of his head, while also giving us more of the Bebop from his point of view. It's a beautiful shot that shows off that bushy head of hair, a record collection, and more of the spaceship's design. Next to him on his left is Faye, whose costume has been altered the most for the show, but more on that later. It might be the angle she's laying on the sofa, but I can't see a headband, which is a signature part of her look. On Spike's right is Jet Black, his partner and a former cop. They've given him just about everything including a prosthetic arm, which looks practical and not like a CGI effect. To me, the costumes look as close to the animated series as it can possibly translate for live action and on a TV budget. Considering the scope of this property, Netflix would be crazy to cut corners. In fact, I think they are doing the opposite and pouring as much money as possible into getting this done right. They can't afford to half-bake a show based on one of the most iconic animes of all time. Still, I'm sure there are some who will see these images and be unimpressed with the costume design, especially Faye, which has significantly toned down the sex appeal of the character. Now it's much more tasteful than before, less exposed chest, and skin to get the fanboys drooling. I know that part of the character's charm is the style which she uses to great effect in the anime, but I much prefer this more practical look. She definitely stands out, because let's not deny that Daniela Pineda isn't a beautiful woman. Even though she's not wearing a skimpy outfit, she still looks lovely in her costume. Could they have given her a costume closer to her anime counterparts? Yes, it's not that difficult to recreate that outfit. There are plenty of female cosplayers who have accurately made the outfits and embrace the sex appeal of the character. There are certain things that an anime can get away with that just wouldn't sit well in live action, especially for a Western audience and the times we live in where studios and creators are trying to be more progressive in their portrayal of certain races and genders, and more importantly, women. Now the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because it needs to be addressed. The actress set to play Faye posted a video addressing the fans who have been critical over the star's costume. But not just the outfit, they have issues with her body type. Daniela is a lot more petite than Faye Valentine, who despite her slim figure, has a sizable bust. Personally, I think she's the right fit for the character. Just looking at her in this image, and then Faye, you'll see the two look alike except for the ethnicity. Faye is supposed to be a strikingly beautiful woman who, despite looking young, is actually a lot older since she was cryogenically frozen for years. Now it baffles me why the fandom is outraged over the chest size of a fictional character and a costume. Yes, having both will make the transfer from anime to live action more accurate, but it does nothing to make the character any better in the long run. It really is telling how bad those comments over the actress lacking the same appearance as a cartoon got out of hand. So much, it irked her to the point she needed to come to her own defense. It's a blow to her personally, since I'm sure she's passionate about bringing to life this character and doing it justice with her acting. I know this will seem like I'm coming to her defense and trying to be in her corner, and yes, I'm supporting her because I believe this is another example of fandom toxicity. We feel the need to be critical over the smallest things that are irrelevant. In this case, being critical over an actress who doesn't look anything like an anime character in a beloved show. I'm aware that there are fans who are not on board with the show since it was announced, and that live action adaptations of anime always tend to miss the mark, with so many details that are important to the identity of a series. Breast and a costume are not exactly an instrumental part to what makes Cowboy Bebop a great show. I know the fear going into this is that it will ruin the legacy of the anime, but that's not the case. It will create renewed interest in the original series, and if this live action venture is terrible, it will ruin the property, but only momentarily before we all move on to something else. Putting another horrible live action adaptation behind us, and remembering that the original still exists and will never be replaced. Daniela Pineda deserves better. Instead of attacking her, we should be lending our support to her as fans and encouraging her to succeed at her job. We haven't even seen her acting, which is the important bit to be concerned about. But nope, Faye has to have bouncy breasts and a killer outfit to match. Going into this project, there was no way that the creatives would keep that part of the character intact. There was no way they would cast an actress and have her walk around underdressed. I'm sure the actress wouldn't have much fun being over-sexualized. While I'm certain that there are actresses out there who would be more than happy to dress the way Faye does in the anime if it means getting the role, it wasn't necessary for this part. This is just a couple of stills of Pineda in character. We haven't seen the entirety of the show to know the full range of outfits she will sport that could be more racy than her main costume. I'm sure throughout the season she is more likely to go through a number of outfit changes, as the character is always changing her style, depending on the job or the occasion. So for anyone complaining that they've ruined Faye, they are missing the point to her character. She's a lot more than her choice of clothing. Faye is known for being a schemer, a double-crosser, backstabber, egotistical, and a freeloader. There's more, but she's proficient in her line of work. I feel like that is the most important attributes to get right with the character, and Daniela Pineda will more than convey that in her performance. Okay, I think I've talked more than enough about Faye, so let's move on to the remaining images and discuss them in detail. Now I really like the idea of a practical arm for Jet Black, but something about the arm in this image doesn't look right. You can instantly tell it's just a casing over the actor's actual arm. It looks somewhat cheap, but maybe it will grow on me once I see it in action on the show. The rest of his costume looks great. I know they race swapped the character, making him African American and dark skin compared to the light complexion he was in the anime, but I definitely think that Mustafa Shakir was the perfect choice for Jet. To me, changing his race is almost a nod to the anime, which casted a black voice actor for the English dub of the series. In the anime, he's voiced by Bill Billingsley, who doesn't give him a stereotypical black voice, but he does seem black in the way he's depicted at times. It's debatable, but IGN has listed him as a black anime character, which I gladly accept because Jet is one of my favorite characters from the show. So let's see what Shakir can do in this role. He's got my support. It should be interesting to see how different the dynamic between him and Jet will be, given that John Cho and Shakira are only a few years apart in age. In the anime, Jet is more of a father figure, but it might change that to a brotherly type relationship. Either way, I can't wait to see the back and forth between him and Spike, and just their friendship, having been long-time associates. Next up, we see Spike doing his daily training, practicing on a Wing Chun dummy, and John Cho is ripped. The 49-year-old has gotten into shape for the role, which is necessary, because Spike, while not muscular, is pretty lean and agile. In fact, the character is a martial artist skilled at Jeet Kune Do, which was created by the late Bruce Lee. Now, I brought up Cho's age because one of the things that most fans were vocal about was his age in relation to the character's age in the anime. Spike is 27 years old. Even John Cho himself was concerned he was too old to play the character, but eventually, he put those concerns to rest, believing that no matter his age, he was at the right stage in his career to be able to play Spike. While it would have been easier for the showrunner and the casting director to pick a younger actor for the part, I believe Cho will more than give us a compelling Spike that's akin to the anime. Even if Cho is a lot older than the character he's playing, he looks far younger than his actual age in real life. Aging up the character only makes him feel like more of a veteran who's been dabbling in the bounty hunting business for a while, yet he's still not completely thriving from the job. Moving on, we see more images of the actor in character. In one image, he's wearing some headphones, maybe just chilling since Spike is pretty laid back. In just about every image where we see him, the star seems to be giving off some strong Spike vibes, almost effortlessly. I know these are just stills and we are yet to see him in a trailer or the actual show to get a good grasp at how he plays the role, but he seems like perfect casting. There's a nice group shot this time giving us a look at the crew outside of the Bebop, and presumably on a mission. This is somewhat the opposite of the first image, with the exception of Ein being included. The Pembroke Welsh Corgi is sure to be a standout of the cast, especially with animal lovers. Ein is no ordinary pet since he was modified in a laboratory, which turned him into a data dog. It means that the pooch has intelligence that is beyond that of a regular animal. In the anime, he's able to drive cars and play chess amongst other skills. While a part of the crew is usually given the most attention by Jet Black, who tends to the animal's needs, often feeding him and buying him pet supplies from his cut of the bounties. He also shares a good relationship with Edward, the youngest crew member who is being kept under wraps. It's amusing that Faye is the one leading Ein. In the anime, she has little to no care for the animal to the point she doesn't mind stealing food from him. Maybe she's tolerating him at the request of Jet, or they have a much better relationship in the show. The most interesting image of the bunch is the one that teases a major showdown between the bounty hunter and a former friend turned enemy from his past. The abandoned church where Spike reunites with Vicious, who kidnaps Faye, to lure Spike to the location. This is the moment where we see a completely different side to Spike, who normally avoids bloodshed unless necessary. On this rare occasion, he dispatches a number of goons working for Vicious. The villain will be played by Alex Hassel, whose character is yet to be revealed. I'm looking forward to seeing this episode, which is certain to be one of the most action heavy in the show, since it involved two of the most skilled fighters, one being a gunslinger and the other a swordsman. This last image is one that wasn't included in the previous pics I've discussed. It comes from Entertainment Weekly, who was covering shows set to premiere in October. Rather than make one video about one picture, I've included it here. John Cho is rocking that suit and bringing a cool swagger to his character. I love the sunglasses and just seeing him in an environment that shows us more of the world. It looks pretty low tech, which I honestly wouldn't be worried about, since there are plenty of places in the Cowboy Bebop universe that harkens back to the past and other places which are futuristic or a combination of both. Cowboy Bebop is heavily inspired by a combination of genres, such as westerns and pulp fiction, so many of the locations will be shabby looking and slightly worn out, no matter the destination the crew visited. The show was shot in Auckland, a large metropolitan city in New Zealand. I expect there to be a lot of on-location shooting, and for the VFX heavy scenes, a soundstage. I think for the most part that the show has managed to capture the visual look of the source material. There's so much work that went into the set design, costumes, and even the props. Just looking back at some of the previous images, there's so many small details that might go amiss. Like the headphones Spike is wearing are similar to the ones he owns in the anime. But that's not all. Take a look again at that final image of him strolling down his street. Those sunglasses are far from being a fashion accessory. They look like the ones he uses to identify targets. What remains to be seen now is if they can nail the tone and just the vibe that's unique to the anime. That brings me to my biggest concern, and that's the age rating. Cowboy Bebop wasn't exactly a family-friendly show. It was known for being on the mature side of most mainstream animes. I'm sure with it being on Netflix, it will have the freedom to go all out, without any restrictions, except maybe showing us Spike's smoking habit. The anime had plenty of characters lighting up and having a good long puff. But with Netflix's aim to cut back on cigarette use in their programming, it's likely Bebop will see far less smoking on screen, or none. But they definitely have no issues with depicting Spike as a smoker, since we see him fully in the act on a comic. The comic is meant to tie into the show's continuity by serving as a prequel. But the restrictions in the comic are different than that of a streaming television series or television program. Whether or not smoking is included in the show, it doesn't help to improve the overall quality of the story and the way characters are portrayed. Overall, I think these stills and additional material have given us a solid look of what to expect from the show's aesthetic, and it couldn't be more perfect for the material. I really have a good feeling about this one, but just to manage my expectations, I'm going to try my best not to get too excited. So that's it for my coverage on these Cowboy Bebop images. It's good to get a proper look at the show, well, a small glimpse of what we can expect from the show's live action adaptation. If these images manage to get you excited for the upcoming show, then you're in for a treat. Netflix will debut an official trailer at the upcoming global fan event titled Tudum. The one-day event which will live stream on Saturday the 25th of September, along with a host of other shows and films. Make sure to mark your calendars and check online to see what time it will be airing in your part of the world. I'll be tuning into the live stream and covering the trailer once it drops. I'm not sure how soon my breakdown video will follow afterwards, but keep an eye on the channel for that and more coverage on the show. All 10 episodes of Cowboy Bebop will be available worldwide on Netflix on November the 19th. So what are your thoughts on the stills? Does it do anything to increase or decrease your expectations of the show? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways folks, that's all for now. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to subscribe, like, and comment below. And hey, maybe this wasn't your cup of tea. And that's okay. Just remember to take care and stay safe.